Hey, what's up OOT runners? I want to talk about Twinrova today. As any speedrunner or reviewer will tell you, Twinrova is a very luck-based fight, which is terrible for speedrunning. But there's a surprising amount you can do to help yourself to get better fights. Over the past few months, thanks to the Decompilation project, and in particular to Fig and Elliptic ellipsis, we've developed a much better understanding of a lot of Twinrova's behaviors. I want to go through what we've learned and explain how you can manipulate those behaviors to your benefit in speedruns, or when you can't manipulate them, at least understand them, so that you can make better and faster decisions about how to react during the fight. So we're starting in Phase 1, when the sisters are separated. Your goal is to reflect 4 beams at a sister of the opposite element. The first thing to know is how to reflect one of those beams. Reflecting a beam can only happen if Link's facing angle is within 45 degrees of the beam's origin. How you aim your shield from a crouch has nothing to do with it, only the center of your facing angle. So be careful, facing too far to the side and bending your shield toward the beam will not help you catch it and avoid damage. You have to actually turn Link toward the beam. But positioning yourself effectively relative to the beam is tricky if you have no idea when they will shoot at you. Luckily, there are some logic rules you can learn to better predict what is going to happen. During the fight, each witch flies around the room, stopping at mostly random positions in the center of the arena, or directly over one of the 4 square pillars on the sides of the arena. A witch can only queue up a beam shot if they have flown to and stopped above one of the 4 squares. If a witch has never stopped over one of those, they will never shoot you. Now, usually, when a witch queues a shot up, they will shoot at you right away. So pay close attention for when a witch flies to one of the platforms, because it's likely that they are about to shoot you. A witch won't shoot you, though, if the other one is already shooting. So if you notice Witch A fly over a platform, and then Witch B shoots before Witch A can, then Witch A now owes you a shot. And the next time Witch A flies to any position at all, over a square platform or not, she will try to release that shot at you, and will only fail to do so if the other witch again begins to shoot first. That stored shot stays forever, until the next time that witch finally gets to release it at you. Stored shots don't stack though, so it's not like flying to 2 side platforms in a row and getting overwritten by the other sister. Will store 2 shots, a witch either owes you 1 shot, or she doesn't. You can use this information to make better predictions about which sister will shoot you and when. And of course, with these predictions, you can make better decisions about where you should stand, and whether you should shoot your hookshot to keep the other witch in place, so that you can hit her with the reflected beam before she leaves your view. The next thing to talk about is when Twinrova shoots multiple times in a row from the same position. We like to call these doubles, triples, or quads, depending on how many times it happens. It's really fast when you're lucky enough to get one, since you save all the time that they would usually spend flying to a new position. In Phase 1, you unfortunately can't manipulate this at all, but you should be on the lookout for it, so that when it happens, you can use the hookshot effectively to keep the other witch in range of reflecting the beam. When a witch is choosing where to fly, and neither witch is currently shooting at Link, there is a 50% chance she will choose a random destination in the middle of the room, and a 50% chance she will pick one of the 4 pillars, each with equal probability. This means that after every successful beam that you reflect from one of the side pillars, there's a 1 in 8 chance that you will get another shot from that same pillar again. We used to think that a full quad was impossible, but it turns out that every time Twinrova reselects the same pillar, she shifts a little bit out of position. By the 4th one, she has to fly in a little loop to get back into her target position above the platform. So a quad is possible, it'll just have a little movement loop at the end. There's actually one instance where a double can be bad for you. After you deal the 4th and final beam reflection, the sisters will wait until the one that was shot recovers from the attack, and then they will combine. However, in semi-rare cases, the one who was shooting the beam can begin shooting another one before their sister can recover from the previous one. While charging up a new beam, the game won't be able to allow them to move on to Phase 2, so you would have to wait until the beam is done. This bad luck can even be chained infinitely, leading to the fight continuing on for as long as you continue to get unluckily quick shots. Keep in mind that you do not have to reflect any beams after you've already dealt damage 4 times. However, if you do notice that you're about to get a quick unlucky shot after the 4th one, you can use your hookshot to quickly cause the shooting sister to spin. This can break them out of the shooting state and cause them to combine sooner than if you had waited for the beam to dissipate on its own. Lastly, in very rare cases, Twinrova can fly low enough to actually deal contact damage to Link. Be careful of that. Next up is Phase 2. In this phase, Twinrova always flies between the pillars and never stops in the center of the room. Your goal is to absorb 3 beams of the same element in your shield so that you can release the energy all at once. Knocking her down with the absorbed element doesn't deal damage though. Only striking her with a sword-type weapon while she's stunned does that. Before you ever deal damage, she will always give you groups of 3 shots of the same element in a row. Only after you deal damage does randomness come into play, so use this knowledge to your advantage in case you mess up and miss a beam. After Twinrova shoots a beam in this phase, she will wait a few seconds and then travel to another platform for the next shot. Shooting a projectile like the hookshot at her will cause her to spin, and when she's done, she will travel to the next platform right away instead of waiting. So if you stand far enough away from her, you can actually shoot your hookshot right after she releases the beam and before you absorb it. This way, she begins flying to the next one as soon as possible. You'll need to be at least behind the center of the arena relative to Twinrova in order to have enough time to both shoot her and absorb the beam before it hits you. There's no downside to being further away though, so be as safe as you like. Normally, Twinrova tries to select any of the other 3 platforms to go to when leaving the one she's currently on. However, there's one condition in the logic that precludes that from happening. She will never travel to a platform that Link is very nearby to, within 300 units. So consider the following situation. Twinrova shoots a beam at Link. He is standing opposite to her, near the perimeter of the main platform and within 300 units of the square platform behind him. Twinrova chooses a number from 1 to 3, basically rolling a die to pick her next platform. If she picks the one behind Link, she will recognize that it's too close to him and re-roll. However, she re-rolls from the perspective of her being at the platform behind Link, despite the fact that she didn't actually move there. So now when she re-rolls, that is the platform she can't choose, and the other 3 are all possibilities, including the one she is really positioned at. So overall, by standing within 300 units of one of the platforms Twinrova might choose, we give ourselves a 1 in 9 chance for a double, saving significant amount of time in this phase when it happens. There are a couple things to be wary about with doubles or triples in Phase 2. First, if the second and third shots constitute a double, that means you are very far away from Twinrova when absorbing that third one, potentially making it awkward to approach her in time to deal sword damage after reflecting it back. Be ready for this situation, and begin approaching her as soon as you notice that the third shot is coming. Secondly, every time Twinrova does a double in this phase, she strangely seems to float a bit higher off the ground than normal. If you're lucky enough to get a triple, this effect will be very pronounced. Your muscle memory for where to aim the reflected shot is in danger here. So once again, be ready to aim your shield higher than you normally would, or else you may very well miss entirely. And I think this is everything I wanted to cover. Twinrova has a lot of interesting mechanics, and it's a lot more complicated than you might guess at first. So by learning all of this and committing it to memory, you can make a lot better decisions in your fights, and see your average time go down, even in the face of getting very unlucky. Thanks for watching, and good luck.